Welcome back, time travelers. If my light flickers, please don't worry. I need to get a new light bulb in it. So today we're going back 982 years to 1041 when Michael V. Kalapotis ascended the throne of the Byzantine Empire following the death of excuse me, the death of Michael the Ninth. Now let's travel 467 years to 1508. I know that's a big jump, but slowly over time we're going to get back to the current year and current history, so please bear with me, okay? Now that we've landed in 1508, this is when Pope Julius II, the Holy Roman Emperor, Maximilian I, Louis XII of France, and Finland II of Aragon formed the Liege of Cambrai. On our next stop on our journey is going to be an interesting one. We're going to travel 260 years to 1768 when Encyclopedia Britannica was first published. The first part of the first edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, the oldest continuously published and revised work of the English language, was published and advertised for sale in Edinburgh on this day in 1768. Now let's travel 47 years to 1815. Now that we've landed in 1815, let's head to the hospital where English mathematician Ada Lovelace, who is called the first computer programmer, was born. Okay, now let's head to Ada's 15th birthday in 1830, when American poet Emily Dickinson was born. Now let's head to Emily's 21st birthday in 1851. Let's see what this event has to hold. This is when American librarian Melvin Dewey, who devised the Dewey Decimal classification for library catalog and was largely responsible for development of library science in the United States, was born. Now we're going forward 33 years to 1884, when American author Mark Twain's classic novel Adventures of Huckleberry Finn was first published, appearing in the United Kingdom and Canada. It was released in the United States the following year. Now let's move on to 1898, when the representatives of Spain and the United States signed the Treaty of Paris, concluding the American-Spanish War. Now we're heading to 1901, when the first Nobel Prize was distributed, marking the 5th anniversary of the passing of Swedish industrialist Alfred Nobel, the inventor of dynamite, who founded and endowed the wars through his will. We will be traveling 8 years to 1909 and be going to Sweden. Now that we've made it to 1909, let's see what this event has to hold. The Swedish author Selma Lagerlöf became the first woman to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature, cited for the lofty idealism, vivid imagination, and spiritual perception that characterizes her writings. Now let's head to the next event in 1962 and the US. Possibly. Okay, maybe it's not the US. In 1962, the British historical film Lawrence of Arabia, which was directed by David Lean and starring Pete O'Toole and T.E. Lawrence, had its world premiere and became the most celebrated epics in the history of cinema. Now we're traveling 2 years to 1964 when American chef Bobby Flay was born. Now, after that happy note, let's head to a sad time in 1967 when American singer and songwriter Otis Redding, who was one of the greatest soul stylists of the 1960s, passed away on an in an airplane crash. I know, it's sad. So let's move on to 1982, when a treaty codifying the law of sea was signed by 117 countries. I guess that I guess that it had to do with the United Nations, but I'm not entirely sure. Now moving on 10 years to 1992. A treaty when a treaty was codified now is when Charles and Diana announced their separation. On this day in 1992, the British Prime Minister John Major announced the official separation of Charles, then Prince of Wales and heir to the British throne, and his wife, Princess Diana. Now we're going to move on to 1996, in South Africa. In 1996, South African President Nelson Mandela signed a new constitution that proclaimed a tradition from long period of white majority rule apartheid to full-fledged democracy. We're now moving on to 2000, and the United States wins the second consecutive World Cup of golf under the leadership of Tiger Woods and David Duval in Bella Vista, Argentina. We're traveling 5 years down the timeline to 2005 and two events this time. The first is when American comedian and actor Richard Pryor, who revitalized comedy with his frank and controversial style, passed away at the age of 65. The second event is the 2005 Heisman Trophy for college football is awarded to University of Southern California. Running back Reggie Bush. I'm not sure who that is. I'm not into sports. I'm not gonna even attempt to know who that is. Now that we've arrived. Okay. Now let's travel a year later to 2006 when Chilean General Augusto Pinochet, I'm sorry, whose dictatorial reign goes from 1974 to 1990 in Chile was marked by the murder and torture of political optimism, passed away while facing charges of human rights abuse. Now that we have arrived at our last event, let's learn what we can in 2007 when Argentine politician Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner was sworn into office as Argentina's first female elected president. She succeeded her husband, Nestor Kirchner. Until next time.